G'day. I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you about my new keynote and workshop, From Pozzy to Cozzy. It draws on my background in creativity, communications and comedy, but it's certainly not just for laughs. While it's entertaining and engaging, this content-rich presentation addresses the most important yet difficult question in the world today. How do we speed up the dismantling of patriarchy? Leading thinkers across the globe agree that progress around every single wicked problem, from climate change to human trafficking to family violence, is retarded by the toxic, archaic beliefs and behaviours that stem from patriarchy. The phrase "from Pozzy to Cozzy" refers to the transition from a patriarchal to a non-patriarchal human operating system. And to explore this topic, I've created a unique original model, which I'll show you in a moment. Now, apart from exposing patriarchy as the systemic root cause of the world's worst problems, the presentation also explores the potentially huge benefits for businesses and organisations aligning themselves with this big shift towards a more sustainable and equitable world. A key outcome for each audience will be an increased willingness and capacity to have what I call courageous conversations around notions of privilege, diversity, ethical leadership and purpose-driven business. Spiced with humour, art, poetry and stories that are both confronting and inspiring, From Pozzy to Cozzy is most suited to audiences at senior executive level, from organisations that realise the old ways are no longer working when it comes to dealing with complex challenges and opportunities. Now, if what I've been saying resonates with your own thinking, stay with me a bit longer and I'll walk you through this simple model I've developed and some of the key messages. For the sake of brevity, I'll just stick to the core content so you can quickly get what I'm on about. But bear in mind that during the presentation itself, this material is peppered with other engaging images, real-life examples, and quirky bursts of creativity. Have you heard any of those TED Talks? You know, TED, Ideas Worth Spreading. A brilliant series of presentations showcasing groundbreaking ideas. Well, I have an idea that I believe is worth spreading too. However, at the core of my idea is another idea. An idea that wasn't worth spreading. But it did spread. And right now it would be really handy to stop it spreading any further. Now, out of this ancient idea grew, bit by bit, what is currently our world's dominant human operating system. I call it a Pozzy, or POS, where P stands for pyramid. P also stands for a few words that describe this human operating system. You see, at the heart of our Pozzy is an emphasis on power, privilege, and your position in the hierarchy. And there's no shortage of pressure, prejudice, and punishment. In a sense, this system serves as a production line that generates, at the bottom, poverty, pain, pollution, and up here, a relatively small number of princes, priests, prima donnas, parasites, and absolute pricks. Oh, there are plenty of princesses and priestesses as well. It's not exclusively men up here, although it is a safe haven for the old boys club. Or should I say, old boys clubs. There's a plague of these bizarre cultish groups sitting atop various governments, businesses, communities and religions. The pyramid operating system also reduces relationships between people to that of predator and prey, winners and losers. For me to succeed, you have to lose. For the winner, the road to success is paved with the ashes of losers. So, in a world increasingly shaped by this Pozzy, what's the word on the street? What's the word from the billions of men and women who are nowhere near the top of the pyramid? Well, the word on the street is enough is enough. The word on the street is that as a means of creating a healthy, happy planet, the pyramid operating system is pathetic. For example, the Pozzy model for peace and sustainability probably looks like this. The word on the street is there's an urgent need to move from a Pozzy to a Cozzy, from a human operating system based on the pyramid to one based on the circle. And just as P stands for more than pyramid, C stands for more than circle. Because at the heart of the Cozzy, there's an emphasis on connection, collaboration and community, on having a sense of inner calm and being centred, being creative and genuinely curious about finding a better way, intensely curious about what's going on in the world, what's going wrong in the world, and how can we change that? It's about having a higher purpose and a level of consciousness that transcends those narrow notions of my tribe, my company, my religion, my country. It's about having a global consciousness that expands to embrace the entire planet and draws upon our collective wisdom. The word on the street is we need a new type of leadership that embodies more of the Cozzy and less of the Pozzy. There's some great news in all of this. If you link your life, your work and your leadership to this transition, you're well placed to improve not only one planet and its people, but also, if you're in business, profits. The word on the street is be fair, be ethical, and we'll reward you. The word on the street from the people on the street is gradually turning into the word in the boardroom. Because smart leaders know that there is no one else apart from the people on the street, whether that street is in the middle of Manhattan or the back blocks of Bangladesh. There is no one else to buy your stuff, to supply you with goods, to work for you. Smart leaders know that the ultimate power resides with the people on the street. So is that it? A pyramid, a circle, a few words starting with P, some starting with C, and a suggestion that a Pozzy to Cozzy transition may be a good thing? Is that my idea worth spreading? It's part of it. But the next few P words and C words are the gems that we only find when we dig deeper. You see, the circle operating system is not synonymous with soft or weak. The Cozzy is not cosy. Why? Because it reflects reality, which is messy. Cozzy people see the world for what it is. A weirdly unpredictable yet interconnected flow of energy, matter, thoughts, feelings, living and non-living. And Cozzy people know that when you mix all of those elements together, you get something that the Pozzy is ill-equipped to handle: complexity and chaos. Increasingly, the word on the street and the word in the boardroom is the same. We are up to here in complexity and chaos, and we need thousands upon thousands of leaders who can sit with that. In every corner of every industry, country and community, we need a more sophisticated type of leadership. We need leaders who can view their business or their religion within a broader context, who can deal with shifting contexts, who are prepared to challenge the Pozzy way of operating. Above all, we need leaders who can initiate courageous conversations. The courageous conversations we all must have about the root causes of a growing number of crises, whether that's Syrian refugees flooding into Europe or declining mental health in a supposedly lucky country. So how and why do these crises relate to the current dominant human operating system, the Pozzy? Some of these problems arise and get bigger simply because there is a total disconnect between a POS, a pyramid operating system, and reality. And by reality, I mean the non-negotiable nature of our planetary life support system, as opposed to the artifice of Wall Street or the Kremlin. The fundamental flaw with the Pozzy is that its principles are based on an archaic view of the world. Pozzy evolved from the primitive set of beliefs and behaviours known as patriarchy. This is the ancient idea that wasn't worth spreading, but it did. As such, patriarchy is the biggest P word around which we need to have courageous conversations. Patriarchy is obsessed with control, and through the Pozzy to Cozzy transition, we are now attempting to escape from that control. However, often, even when well-intentioned people are creating some amazing Cozzy-style initiatives, the toxic systemic influence of patriarchy remains unacknowledged. And so we get this, an attempt to build something better, but on a foundation that will actively undermine it. Attached to a patriarchal system, a Cozzy initiative may largely disappear beneath the quicksand. And this partly explains things like the glass ceiling many women experience, where the unwritten, institutionalised rules of the game simply work against anyone not seen as part of the dominant group. Now, when we think of life at the top of the pyramid, we may picture a plush inner sanctum of leather chairs, mahogany desks, and a well-stocked drinks cabinet. But zoom out a little, and we see that this oasis of opulence is actually inside a prison, a very large prison, that holds all of us, because patriarchy traps us in a way that separates us from nature, it separates us from each other, and it separates us from ourselves. Over time, prisoners may get better meals, a better iPhone, even a better education, but they are still in prison. More and more the people on the street realise this, and the word on the street is enough is enough. It is time to escape from this primitive prison, and that's what a new type of leader will help us to do. Detached from patriarchy, the circle human operating system will blend the best of human experience, from the extraordinary advances made under the Pozzy era to a natural and sustainable way of being and living that dates back to our very beginnings. The catalyst for all this is a new type of leadership, armed with a new type of human operating system. A new type of leadership with the ultimate goal of freeing our planet from patriarchy.